What would you trade for eternal beauty and youth? Would you wager your soul? This question, as haunting as it is intriguing, isn't just a philosophical musing. It lies at the very heart of a tale that has captivated readers for well over a century. The story of Dorian Gray. Crafted by the brilliant and flamboyant Oscar Wilde in the late 19th century, this narrative explores the allure of eternal youth and beauty and the price one might pay for such a boon. In our world today, where youth and beauty are highly prized, we often find ourselves grappling with a similar dilemma. The desire to remain young, to retain that sparkle in our eyes, the bloom on our cheeks, the vitality in our stride. It's a yearning that's almost universal. Society places an exorbitant value on these ephemeral qualities, and many of us find ourselves chasing after them with fervor. Yet what are we willing to give up in this pursuit? Is the cost merely monetary, or is there a deeper price to pay? This is the question that Wilde poses in his novel. The character of Dorian Gray, a man who trades his soul for a life of unending beauty and youth, serves as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of such a bargain. But let's take a step back and consider the context in which this story was written. The late Victorian era, a time of rapid change and a growing obsession with aesthetics. Wilde, himself a prominent figure in the aesthetic movement, was well acquainted with society's fascination with beauty. Yet he also saw the potential danger in this obsession, and through Dorian Gray, he presented a cautionary tale of vanity and self-indulgence. So, as we delve into the tale of Dorian Gray, let us ponder on the cost of such a trade. What would you be willing to sacrifice for eternal beauty and youth? Would you, like Dorian, be willing to wager your soul? Or would you choose a different path? One that values the beauty of the soul over that of the body. As we explore this story further, let's keep these questions in mind. In the heart of London, a portrait unveils a chilling tale of vanity and corruption. Our protagonist, Dorian Gray, is a handsome, naive and wealthy young man admired for his breathtaking beauty. This beauty, captured in a portrait by the artist Basil Hallward, becomes the core of Dorian's existential crisis. Basil, completely infatuated with Dorian's looks, sees the portrait as a mirror of his own artistic genius. He believes Dorian's beauty is a form of inspiration that elevates his work. Enter Lord Henry, a hedonistic aristocrat who seduces Dorian with his cynical worldview. He convinces Dorian that beauty and sensual fulfillment are all that matter in life, and that aging will rob him of these pleasures. This philosophy deeply impacts Dorian, who wishes that his portrait would age instead of him. Unbeknownst to him, his wish is granted. As time passes, Dorian indulges in every pleasure and vice, spurred on by Lord Henry's hedonistic ideals. Yet while Dorian remains eternally youthful and attractive, his portrait becomes a grotesque reflection of his sins and moral decay. Each indulgence, each act of cruelty manifests as a physical disfigurement on the canvas. Dorian's life spirals into a destructive cycle of sin and guilt. He attempts to amend his ways, but his efforts are insincere and futile. His portrait, now a horrifying image, stands as a constant reminder of the monstrous soul he has become. Meanwhile, Basil, horrified by the transformation in his masterpiece, confronts Dorian. In a fit of rage, Dorian murders Basil, thus further staining his soul. Yet his outward appearance remains untouched, a stark contrast to the hideousness of his inner self. In a tragic twist of fate, Dorian, unable to bear the reflection of his corrupted soul, stabs the portrait, causing his own death. The portrait reverts back to its original state, while Dorian's body is found aged and withered, an accurate reflection of his soul. A life of beauty devoid of age and decay, yet marred by the ugliness of his soul, reflected in his portrait. Like all great literature, Dorian Gray is more than just a story. It's a mirror held up to society. Delving into the themes of this timeless tale, we encounter a profound explorations of vanity, corruption, and the dichotomy of inner and outer beauty. Oscar Wilde masterfully uses these themes to critique society's fixation on youth and beauty, questioning the moral boundaries we're willing to cross for the sake of eternal allure. Vanity, a recurring theme in the narrative, is embodied by Dorian Gray himself. His obsession with his own beauty plunges him into a spiral of self-destruction, illuminating the dangers of excessive self-love. Wilde uses this theme as a cautionary tale, illustrating how vanity can consume us, blinding us to the true values of life. Next, we have corruption, which subtly permeates the narrative. It's not just Dorian who is corrupted by his desire for eternal beauty, but those around him are also tainted by his influence. This theme is a stark reflection of society's susceptibility to corruption, especially when it comes to the pursuit of superficial desires. The dichotomy of inner and outer beauty is perhaps the most poignant theme of Dorian Gray. On the outside, Dorian remains eternally youthful and handsome, but on the inside, he is decaying, his soul tarnished by his immoral actions. This contrast serves as a powerful critique of society's obsession with physical appearance, urging us to look beyond the surface and value the beauty within. Wilde's critique of society doesn't stop at its obsession with youth and beauty. The moral implications of Dorian's decision to trade his soul for eternal youth are deeply explored. Dorian's downfall serves as a dire warning. The pursuit of beauty, when devoid of morality, can lead to the erosion of our humanity. In the end, Dorian pays the ultimate price for his vanity, a stark warning to those who value beauty over morality. As we turn the last page of Dorian Gray, we're left with a profound question. Is the price of eternal beauty worth the sacrifice of our soul? So what lessons can we take away from the tragic tale of Dorian Gray? Throughout our exploration, we've delved into the intoxicating allure of youth and beauty and the perils of vanity. Dorian Gray's story unravels the dire consequences of his decision to trade his soul for perpetual youth. Yet it's not merely a cautionary tale about the cost of beauty, it's a stark reminder of the importance of inner beauty and morality. The picture of Dorian Gray, scarred and withered, stands as a testament to the fact that physical attractiveness cannot mask the ugliness of a corrupt soul. And perhaps there's an even deeper message. The tale urges us to value our humanity above all else. It warns us of the price we pay when we lose sight of our moral compass, our empathy, and our capacity to love. As Oscar Wilde himself once said, "No artist has ethical sympathies. An ethical sympathy in an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style." Perhaps then, the ultimate lesson of Dorian Gray is not about the cost of beauty, but the price we pay when we lose sight of our humanity.